Hello out there, Lynn Burgess doing a little yoga this afternoon. Someone who took my class yesterday on Zoom was talking about the transition that I was sharing and how it was frustrating and fun all at the same time. So I'm going to repeat that transition today. What is a transition? It's the way we move between yoga poses, or the way we move between a pose on the right side of the body and then a pose on the left side of the body. And transitions are quite often places where people get injured, because it's almost as if you've come out of the yoga pose, let's say on the right side, and your mind is going ahead to the left side, but the body is in that transitional time. And if our minds and our bodies are separated, that's not a good thing. So let's play around a little bit with going from Sukhasana, which is in a seated position with the legs crossed, to a bent knee down dog, and back to a cross-legged position, Sukhasana, with the opposite leg in front. Lots of just fun things to play around with. So anytime that we can make our yoga practice fun and playful, it for me, reminds me of the joy I felt in being free and easy playing around in my body as a child. So a couple of things that we need to make sure are pliable today before we make this transition. One being our toes and the other being our wrists. So come onto your yoga mat and flick your toes so your heels are pointing up toward the ceiling. And walk your hands back and lower your bottom onto your heels. Now, I don't want to minimize the difficulty of this because it can be really, really hard. And if you're sitting here, notice how there's a lot of weight on the big toes. Can you spread the weight out more evenly onto the baby toe sides of your feet as well as the big toes? Go ahead and come forward. By the way, if you can't get your rear end back, that's okay. Really, it's really okay. You could start here and just push your bottom down a little bit. You'll feel the weight go onto your toes, but never, ever, ever try to force anything in your yoga practice. So we're coming forward again. We're going to sit back on our heels. Try to spread the weight from big toe to baby toe, and then come forward. Take the tops of your feet to the floor. Bring your hands back a little bit. See if you can lift your knees. First time I ever saw this, I don't know how many years ago it was, but I thought, is that really possible? It is. We just have to become a little bit more flexible in our ankles and in the muscles on the fronts of our shins. So we're going to vacillate back and forth between these. Sit back on the heels. Broaden the weight, distribute it between all the toes, including that one that went weeny all the way home. Come forward, take the tops of the feet to the floor, push down on the toenails, see if you could lift your knees, and then rock forward one more time. Sit back to whatever degree that you can. Feel like you want your tailbone to be heavy. I know, I feel it big time too in the bottoms of my feet and in my little toes. And then last one for now. Press down on the tops of your feet, lift your knees, come up. Good, now your wrists, we're going to be doing some weight bearing here. So I'm starting out with my fingers facing forward. Wrists to me are a lot like toes. They can be very inflexible depending on how much time you spend with your devices. Turn your left fingers. So I took my hand, my fingers were facing forward. I turned my hand a quarter turn to the left, so my fingers were facing the left side of my yoga mat, and then another quarter turn toward my knees. I'm going to be conservative with this. I'm going to slide my left hand a little bit closer to my left knee, and then take the right hand, do a quarter turn right, and then another quarter turn, and so now your right fingers are facing your knees, your right knee. This could be enough for you. I'm feeling it this afternoon. You can rock back a little bit if it's not too intense. And And if you want to really play around, flip your toes, have your tailbone, rock back a little bit. That's a lot for most of us. Now slowly turn the fingers back to the front of the yoga mat. And then imagine, everybody, you know when you have something in your back pocket, like your phone, and you reach your hands into your back pocket to get it? Let's pretend the floor has pockets. And so take the back of your left hand, slide it a little closer to your left knee, and then the back of your right hand, and now you're stretching the top of your forearm. I probably don't have to tell you that. Hang in here for just another breath. And then sit back, release the hands, and just shake them for a second, like you walked into a bathroom and they didn't have any paper towels, so you're just shaking the water off of your hands. So the transition is to go from Sukhasana. Let's try it. Seated with the feet under the knees. Most of us like to go really wide. I get that. It feels better in my body too. But for this transition, we're going to try going from here to a bent knee down dog, switching our legs as we twirl around and coming back, and our opposite leg will be in front. So let's switch sides. This is my right leg in front. Lean back, lean on your hands, switch the legs. For most of us, we prefer one leg in front. And if you notice, if you sit for meditation or every time you sit down for your yoga class, if you've always got the same leg in front, I encourage you to mix it up. We really don't want to become habituated. There's comfort in the habit, and then at some point we might lose the ability to switch sides. I'm not trying to be doomsday about it, but just to remind us all that flexibility, literally, flexibility is so necessary in our yoga practice, flexible mind, as well as in life these days. So we're going to start out with our left shin in front of our right. Now, I was saying yesterday in class that if you can go into these transitions thinking, I really just want to have fun, I'm probably going to get all mixed up, and that's okay. They just take a little bit of practice. So left shin in front of right shin. Take your hands behind you and turn your fingertips so that they're facing your body. Go ahead and pull the shoulder blades together and bend the elbows a little bit. So you're kind of going backward a little bit here. And then if you can, put the palms down. You might not be able to. Lift your pelvis and then start to come onto the balls of your feet. Now, I'm going to go to my right. So I pick up my left hand, I'm pivoting on my toes, I'm coming around, I'm turning my right fingers toward the back of the yoga mat. Now here's one of the real tricks to this. Put your left hand behind your right hand. Now we need to turn to your right. So start to pivot on your toes, pick up your right hand, come back down, put the pelvis down, and did you end up exactly where you started, but now you have your right shin in front? Yes? No? Let's try going the opposite way. So we've got the right shin in front. We're going to spin around, do a little twirl, and end up with the left shin in front. So fingers are behind you. If that's really uncomfortable, tent the fingers, but you've got a better ability to push off if the heels of the hands are down. Go ahead and lift the pelvis, slide the knees forward, and start to come onto your toe tips. Now we're going to the left initially. So pick up the right hand, start to pivot your toes towards your left hand, your knees towards your left hand. Remember, the right hand is going to come behind the left hand. Now we start going to the left, this way. So turn the toes, pivot on your toes, pick up your left hand, come around, voila! Left shin in front of right shin. Hopefully. And again, if you feel really fuzzy by all of this, just laugh. You're learning. You are absolutely learning how to do something. So you might have felt that a lot in your hands. You could use some yoga blocks, but it's going to get clumsy trying to pivot around those. So let's do this instead. Let's just shake the hands. And then let's stretch them one more time. You can sit anywhere that feels good to you. Turn your fingers towards your body. Press the heels of your hands down. When you were kneeling, you were leaning back a little bit to stretch your wrists. Here, come forward a tiny bit. You might be feeling it in the inner thighs as well. Pick up the hands, shake them again. Put the backs of the hands in the back pockets of your yoga mat. And try leaning a little weight forward. I encourage you to stretch your wrists a lot. We're using devices more than ever these days, and we want to have pliability in our hands, especially for the yoga poses that involve weight bearing on the hands. So you can release them and just shake them a little bit, draw your two legs together. Let's play around with transition one more time. Come and sit in Sukhasana, left shin in front of right shin. So the game is, can we turn? We'll end up in a bent knee down, downward facing dog. The important part is that one hand comes behind the other and you keep turning on your toes. It's not quite like a ballerina on toe shoes, but you're not walking with your heels down. Let's give it one more try. Hands behind your body, lean back, bend the elbows, lift the chest, lift the pelvis. Come onto your toes, so my heels just came up. We're going to go to the right. Pick up your left hand, turn it to the right. Now as you do that, there's a lot of moving pieces here. Turn your right fingers toward the back of your yoga mat. Your left hand comes behind your right. It's a quasi-bent knee downward facing dog pose. So now we've got to go to the right. The toes start turning. Say that 3 times fast. To the right. The right arm picks up, around you come, right hand behind. Sukhasana with the right leg in the front. Yay, we changed it. Let's do the other side. Relax the hands for a second if you need to, shake them. Fingers are back. Pick up your pelvis, slide your knees forward, come up onto your tiptoes. Now you'll have to adjust a little bit. You can see me adjusting. This time we need to go to the left, so I pick up my right hand. My toes turn, my knees turn, my right arm comes around, I line up my right hand behind my left hand. Now we gotta go back to the left, so here we go, turning. Around you come, left leg in front of right. I hope it was a fun transition for you. There are many other transitions that we could practice. We'll do that another day. But play around with it. Don't try to think it too much. Just let the body move. Thanks so much for joining in, everybody. See you next time.